Yeah.
This is going to be interesting. I don't know if you know this. He doesn't listen to music.
I know.
No, you know.
So
Hey,
what
we've
the
known each
fuck
other.
are we going to talk about?
We've known each other for a while. Don't worry.
Can we put on some music and get his reaction?
Well, on the paywall side.
Got it.
So
Okay.
the way we shoot the podcast, like we shoot the regular episode, and then
I got a
like
bunch for you.
a second half is paywalled.
Okay.
You got a good brain.
He's weirdo. He's like a fucking Rain Man, savant.
All right.
Yeah, he's just gross. Like you're gonna.
Coffee.
Oh yeah, I got you one. It's in the fridge, but
Jazz.
This
isn't mine.
no, it's cool. It's cool. It's
Sorry,
the same.
Marsh.
It's the same coffee. No, I got Marsh one too.
Nice.
Bro, I'm fucking.
You do
I'm
too?
Yeah, I do too.
Doing.
Fucking freak. How do you think this engine runs for fucking 10 hours, man?
2 coffees?
I drink this and then I drink another one. Yeah, I have 2 coffees.
Anthony, you're oddly calm this morning.
Because we just fucking lifted, dude.
Anything else?
I don't know.
We just lifted weight.
Oh, you worked out?
Yeah.
How'd you do?
Great.
He's fucking big, dude.
Yeah.
He is brolic.
There's a lot of strength that comes from that mustache.
It's not the
His trainer
mustache.
says I complain less than him.
Oh, for sure. I can play all the time.
We
Everybody
talk
knows
shit
that.
about him all the time.
Yeah, it's my favorite thing. But like, the funniest thing is, I do the work. You know what I mean? Like, I will always do the work, no matter what it is. Sometimes to a fault where I like will literally injure myself because I push too hard.
Yeah.
But I will always do it. Rain or shine, doesn't matter. I'm gonna get up 7 a.m., go to work by 8. You know, be in there working out while it's fucking raining on me. You know, which is, I'll do it, but I'm gonna complain while I'm doing it the entire time, like someone forced me to do it. You know,
Got it.
that's just how it is. This is how I roll. Anyway, we're gonna be talking about working out and stuff, but before we do it, Anthony Fantano's in the building, ladies and gentlemen. Look at that! It's crazy. It happened. The internet's busiest music nerd decided to not be as busy. Yeah, don't look at that. I'm looking at your insane camera operation right now.
It's not on that one right now.
Okay.
I'm still busy. This is a work weekend.
Yeah, I mean,
This is a
you're still
this is
busy.
a PR tour weekend.
Yeah, I know. So what's up? Why the fuck are you doing a PR tour? What's going on? Is the album coming out?
I had, I think I've been wanting to come out here and do a few shows, and I think I just realized that I had a free weekend. I was going to do this more in like May or April, but then I just had a free weekend in January, and I said, fuck it, let's do it.
Okay. Nice. Yeah, you were very matter of fact. You were very business, like, like an adult. You were like, all right, what's your address? I'm going to be calculating like the map distance.
Yeah.
And plan out my entire day. I'm like, what the fuck? Just,
Find an Airbnb in the area.
Yeah, just come through, man.
I'm literally like 20 minutes away from every appearance I have to go to.
That's
so
insane that you did all of that.
I did.
That's how you do it? You have an
That's how we did it
assistant?
this time. No, I didn't have an assistant for this. This is actually kind of different for me. I've been very prone to kind of avoid stuff like this because I usually have a lot of travel anxiety because I have ADHD. But I got diagnosed in the last year and I've been doing a lot better with my symptoms. And
Is that what causes travel anxiety? Because I
wouldn't
have
say it's
so much
the
travel
cause.
anxiety.
I think you can probably have it for a lot of different reasons. I know it's the reason I have it because I tend to get overwhelmed with stuff sometimes.
Speaking of travel, I still haven't booked any of our shit for Japan.
No, we haven't booked any shit.
We're supposed to go to Japan.
We're not going.
No, we're going.
We're not going.
I'm 100% going.
I'm going to, no.
I will literally put you in the backpack. I will put you in a suitcase.
Well,
You have dreams of staying in Japan permanently. It's not. We're going to Japan.
yeah, I have dreams of going to Japan and staying permanently. Can I tell you the way not to go to Japan?
But
For the week a heads up.
no, that doesn't matter because I already have. Look, my mind works in mysterious ways. Okay,
No, you don't get to say that. You
Yeah,
don't get
I
to
do
do
get-
that
I get
when
to
we're
do that.
traveling internationally. Because we're going to get there. We're going to have nowhere to stay.
No, I have all that lined
We're
up.
going to have no.
No, I already.
No, you don't.
Yes, I do.
No, you don't.
Yes, I do.
You know what Ludwig's plan is.
No.
and that's
You're wrong. You're wrong. No. You're wrong. I had the best guy. I had the best guy on
Who's
the job.
Best guy.
Jake and Bake Live.
Okay.
Yeah, we have a 14-day.
So
We have
you
a
already
14.
booked- you already
We have a
booked all these
14-day schedule mapped out.
So you
we need to
booked
pull
these things.
We need to pull the trigger. Marsh needs to pull the trigger.
See, I have travel anxiety, Anthony.
No, I get it. I usually don't go out and do stuff like this.
I know,
unless it's all been set up for me. Like one of my worst experiences, and it wasn't even that bad. Again, because it's just because of the anxiety. I went to Primavera Sound a bunch of years ago, which is in Barcelona.
Sure.
And even going there, it was like everything was all set up for me. But I got like lost downtown at some point, and like obviously like my Spanish is kind of iffy, and like there was one point at which like I was literally like. Just like sitting on the bench on a tram line, breaking the fuck down. I was like, what the fuck?
Donde está la biblioteca, dude? Every time.
And then, like, in the middle of, like, just being on the verge of flipping out, like, a handful of guys came and said, aren't you Anthony Fantano? I was like, and it kind of snapped me out of it. And I was like, yeah, I am. And I was like, you know, and they said hi. And I said, oh, by the way, how do I get here?
Where am I?
I'm fucking
and I was
lost.
like, where the hell am I? And then they told me, and then I got to where I needed to go. And then, you know, so it worked out. But, like, at the time, you know, it was pretty bad. But now I feel a lot less, you know. Like on edge about going places.
The last time I had horrible travel anxiety was actually a trip he dragged me on as well.
We don't talk about that.
Yeah, so
it ultimately worked out because it created this podcast.
That's true.
Yeah, we had a banger first episode. Like, you know, it was crazy. It ended up working out. Like, everything was held together with ticker tape, as is the case with all of my, you know, productions that I'm in any way, shape, or form involved in. And we ended up in Amsterdam for TwitchCon EU, and we filmed our first episode of the podcast in a boat. It was also a recording studio for music artists. I forget who the artists are that have recorded on it, but it's like some crazy artist. It was this Turkish dude reached out to me.
It's silent enough to make the music on a boat?
Well,
it's not like weird boat noises?
There were not weird boat noises that I could discern because we were in a channel.
Got it.
Yeah. It was cool though. It was sick.
That's
like
cool.
We literally shot our first episode of this podcast on top of a fucking boat in Amsterdam in a canal, you know?
Cool.
It was
All
sick.
right. Now I'm going to throw one of those deep questions that are going to engage you mentally.
Yeah, let's actually talk about something.
Right. Here you go. Anthony Fantano.
Yeah, what's up?
You are a music critic.
I am.
You are constantly consuming music.
I am.
Do you think the constant consumption of any medium eventually will lower your enjoyment of that medium and make it harder to find things that you consider 10s or 9s?
I think in concept that sounds like a good thing, or sort of like it sounds logical. But I don't know. Every year, even this past year, I find pretty consistently when I'm making my year-end list and stuff, around 50 or so records that I loved at some point across the year. And again, with this past year, actually, I think I was more in like the 55 or 56 range when the year was over.
You listened to, I have not listened to 55 songs.
Since I've started the YouTube channel, I've reviewed over 3,000 albums.
That's too much music, bro.
Somebody actually hit me up the other day, and I often don't take the time to kind of reflect on how long I've been doing all this and how much of sort of a process it's all been. This fan of mine who I talk with every once in a while because they do this fun kind of year-end edit of all the times that I do blankthany blank Tano intros on my videos, hit me up and said, did you know you've reviewed over 3,000 records? And I said, I have. And they're like, well, been doing it consistently, reviewing 4 to 5 albums a week for the past this many years.
Yeah.
And I looked at my YouTube channel and it has just under 4,000 videos on it. And I did the math on that. I even just lowballed it at 4, multiplied it by 52 and how many years I've been doing it. And it came out to just around 3,000.
So you and I are on the exact opposite ends of the spectrum of music loving versus music hating.
Yeah.
Which is weird to me because I don't, honestly, I can't even think of, I can't even roast you for it because I don't necessarily come from a musical background. My dad's understanding and appreciation of music, for example, is probably worse than yours. Like he openly would admit to me, like, I can't tell you a Beatles song from a Stones song. And his first concert was a Peter Frampton concert. I don't think he'd gone to too many concerts after that. And
Son, do you know who Peter Frampton is?
I have no fucking clue who Peter Frampton is, but I have been to the Boss concert.
Oh, you've been to a Springsteen concert?
Yeah,
Nice.
I did. I hated it. It was.
Oh, that's.
I just don't like live music, like for the most part. I despise. Not only do I not listen to music, I fucking hate live music. Like I actually don't have it. Like normally, okay. Let me just tell you this.
No wonder
normally,
you've gone to Coachella.
When people, I do go to Coachella. Yes.
Yeah, because you don't give a fuck about music.
Exactly. But
that's why you go.
But I very openly state that.
I was shocked this year we went to Coachella. I mean, it's always a great meme to talk about how much Coachella like doesn't give a fuck about music.
Right.
But the main stages at Coachella sounded so abhorrently terrible this year. It was shocking.
Yeah.
Little Baby sounded like a cacophony of small animals being loaded into a grinder. And it wasn't his fault.
Gigantic sound systems in the middle of fucking nowhere, just blasting out into open space.
Yeah, the acoustics are off.
Good.
Yeah.
Even I know that. I think my disdain for music starts off at an early age when my parents would like take me to the symphony all the time. Every Tuesday night we would have to go to like the Philharmonic in Ankara, right? And I was just like, yo, this shit sucks. Like I don't want to fucking be here. And you're a kid, so you can't really do anything about it.
Yeah.
And they get mad at me if I fell asleep, you know what I mean? And they would make me like, we'd have to get dressed up and shit. I just despised it. So like as a process
you associate music with trauma, especially live music.
Yeah. And then, that's like infinitely more preferable to like obviously live music that you would listen to like at Coachella or you know, a music festival. And I still sometimes go, like I went to the opera recently. It's whatever, you know, it's not my cup of tea, but
you're not impressed by most things, though, is what I will say.
That is true. Except for infrastructure. It's very impressive.
He loves parks. Back to Anthony.
Anyway, yeah, let's go on.
You do listen to a lot of albums.
I do.
What's your process for listening to an album?
It's kind of like watching grass grow, honestly. I mean, it's, you know, I'm just sitting there, I'm listening, I'm writing notes.
That did not sound appealing at all.
Well, I mean,
but the thing is, like, it's not sexy to watch. You know, the process itself is not what's interesting. It's the opinion that you get after that's interesting.
Sure.
You know, if I did a live stream of like, you know, me reviewing an album, it would literally just, you know, I'm not doing handstands and sort of like, you know, dancing the entire time.
You're not like doing one of these,
just taking it in and I'm processing and I'm just contemplating and I'm, you know, having gut reactions positively or negatively to the various things.
You write it down. You're like, oh,
yeah,
that hit good.
Yeah.
Do you think because you're so analytical in your approach that it's detrimental to certain types of music enjoyment?
It can be and it can't be. I mean, like, you know, one of the opinions that I consistently get roasted for again and again and again is the fact that like I enjoyed like the debut mixtape from Lil Pump, you know, which is like not a smart album. It's not a record that really kind of holds up to scrutiny, like Gucci Gang.
I respect that. That's good.
Like, it's not a record that really kind of holds up to deep scrutiny. You know, it's not an album that you really kind of like dive into mentally. My enjoyment of it is like purely visceral, and it's like this is like really young and visceral and stupid, and it's kind of funny and enjoyable in that sense.
I have that take for movies at the very least, where I will enjoy an art house flick, you know, or in cult classics, but also I do understand the appeal of like a popcorn movie, like a blockbuster hit. Like I get it. I'm not one of those people who's like, oh fucking, you know, this Marvel shit sucks. Like, I mean, it does. It's not great. I've not seen a single fucking Star Wars movie or whatever, but like Avatar 2 was great. I enjoyed it.
Still haven't seen it.
You will not enjoy it. I don't.
Yeah, you would like Avatar 2 anyway.
Yeah.
Wait,
Yes.
No, but okay.
Yes.
Right.
Oh, the fuck does that mean?
Yes.
To finish the thought, like, and while I did enjoy that record, I didn't love it.
Yeah.
You know, it's like when I'm reviewing something and I'm giving it like, I don't know, a certain score, I see it as sort of like a spectrum of enjoyability, especially if it's landing anywhere between like, you know, a strong 5 to a 10. You know, to me, anything above that kind of like on the fence number is enjoyment. You know, it's just kind of to varying degrees. Like an album, like for example, that a lot of people consider to be classic and sort of like, you know, the modern rap and sort of like trap canon is like, you know, Future's Dirty Sprite 2, for example. And that album has some bangers on it.
Yeah.
But as an overall listening experience, it's very repetitive. It's very one-dimensional. All the beats and vocals hit the same. As like, you know, an album experience, it's just kind of background music. You know what I mean? So while I do enjoy it on some level, I'm not going to give it a fucking 10 because it's not like over the top. It's not like this super engaging experience. It's like cool as party music. It's cool as background music. I feel like it has a place and it has a time and it has a function and it has an appeal. You know, but again, I'm not going to rate something like that super high, you know?
This leads me into a game I would like to play.
Sure.
This is called Anthony Fantano's Music Superlatives.
Okay.
So we are going to list most likely to blank, and you're going to give us a song or album, right? This is how you play. Ready?
I got it.
First one.
Okay.
Most likely to get you laid.
Most likely to get you laid in
Yes.
terms of like you listen to it and you show it to another person.
Whatever, however you interpret that.
Okay. Most likely to get you laid.
Yeah.
You answer first if you have an answer.
What?
He doesn't know.
I don't listen to music. I do though.
Well, you
P
said that
power.
we're all-
P power.
You said that we're all
P
playing.
power. Gonna.
Well, he's giving you other superlatives that you have to name.
Wait, what? I am.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Most likely to get you laid.
Okay. Well, I said P power by Gunna.
Okay. Well, it's pushing P.
No, Pussy Power is another Gunna song.
Oh my god. All right. Well, it's definitely not MF Doom.
Okay.
Let me think.
Damn, I knew a song that he did. Did you?
Write
Write that down. Write that down. Write that down.
It depends on who you're like who exactly you're getting laid with. But I think like, being somebody who, some artists who would get you laid if you like legitimately enjoyed them and appreciated their music.
Frank Ocean.
Would be, shut the fuck up. Would be, no, even more so because everybody listens to Frank Ocean. Like, I think as a guy, if you want to sort of like identify with, the experience that
Phoebe
women are
Bridgers.
having out there romantically and emotionally, like you probably should fuck with some SZA.
Okay.
You probably should fuck with some Taylor.
Yes.
You probably should fuck with some Phoebe Bridgers. Yes.
Now, Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
Okay, we have another host that is probably very satisfied by that answer.
But wait a second. Like most women are smart enough to tell when you're like faking the funk.
The
if you're
SZA
just-
ex-boyfriend
if you're just-
murder one is fire. I like
Yeah,
that
it's a-
song.
it's
I
a great
listen.
So
song.
you're
that.
saying you need B-sides from those artists.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that they're like, oh, he's really in.
Absolutely. You can't just idly enjoy the hits. And you do have to sort of understand that like, you are sort of like at that point, you're an outsider to a specifically, like female experience that you're just kind of like looking at. You can't like, sort of like fuck with those songs on the same level, like, in a
I think if you know
personal
one
identity
Phoebe
sense.
Bridgers song, it's a rap because there's no fucking shot anyone's putting it.
Is it Kyoto?
No,
Is that
I
the
don't
one
know
song
any
that-
songs.
oh, okay.
I'm saying
I would have gone with a little Mazzy Star. I think it's very sexy. It's very sad. Now, Hasan, it's your turn. Create a superlative. Do you understand? Most likely to.
I understand what
Yes.
the concept of superlatives are. Okay.
Well, I don't know if they're in Turkey.
Yeah, no. Most likely to out you as a white supremacist.
Ooh.
Tom McDonald.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
That's
Tom
fire.
McDonald.
I feel like that's like basic though. I was gonna go like Varg or something. Burzum, right? No.
I mean,
You know,
Tom McDonald really kind of has the white supremacist ear.
He's just like
you can
he's
tell
just
me if
like
I'm
regular
wrong
in this day
on
and
this
age.
one. You can tell me if I'm wrong on this one. I like this artist, but I think he has a lot of weird appeal to certain groups. Danzig.
Yeah, sure, but I wouldn't say any more than maybe some metal artists generally.
Okay, fair, fair.
like Phil Anselmo, for example.
This is why he's the genius.
Like Phil Anselmo has way more of a problematic appeal than Danzig does.
How many churches have they burned?
Who, Danzig?
I don't know.
As far as I know,
Asking.
Danzig has
These are
burned no
basic
churches.
questions I'm asking about metal from just my
As far as I know, Danzig has burned no churches.
Zero churches.
bullshit.
Zero
They
churches.
don't. They're not in the cut.
Zero churches.
They're not even in the.
I really
stand.
like Danzig, but
Okay.
okay.
Yeah, no, so do I.
Who would you say most likely to make you outed as a white supremacist?
Oh, I already said it. Varg Burzum, right?
Yeah.
Is it-
Yeah, probably.
I mean, that's like pretty. I think it's valid. Or what else? What else?
In a way,
maybe like
that-
old punk, but like racist punk, not like the anti.
like oi stuff, like like the UK.
But that
oi
goes
shit.
both ways.
Yeah, it could go both ways.
because like they have skinheads that are like anti-Nazi, and then they have skinheads that are pro-Nazi.
Right. It's such a case by case basis, and it requires specificity. And there's way more anti-racist punk than there is racist punk by a long shot.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, next superlative. Most likely to impress Anthony Fantano. Like you drop a record on and you're like, damn,
Well,
that person knows music.
Honestly, no. There's such a thing. I mean, I guess I can't even give a specific answer to that because honestly, to impress me, like I have a friend of mine, for example, who recently sent me a playlist, and she, I happen to like a lot of new wave stuff and like obscure synth pop stuff and like post punk stuff, and and she sent me like a playlist of just like tons of fucking shit I had never fucking heard of, like not these bands
So
exactly.
we got to put together a whole mixtape.
Right, exactly. Not these artists not these artists exactly. Like I'm thinking of some flagship examples, like Gary Newman, Devo, that type of shit. Like loads of much more obscure artists in that vibe, and I was just like, I never heard of like 80% of this.
How do we feel about cream soda?
I can't even tell you. I don't even know. You're outing me right now.
Russian, like, kind of synthy.
I don't know much about like too much cream soda. No,
Oh,
or like Russian
paywall.
Russian
I'm pulling that up for you.
You
That's
listen-
gonna be my most likely to impress.
You don't fuck with the Russian EDM.
Not that I'm against it. I just haven't really dove into
Seems
it.
like he's against it.
Seems like you're against it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ice Peak.
We have an exclusive. Anthony Fantano hates
saw that.
Russian music.
Yeah. It's kind of
Yeah,
fucked
like,
up.
Defend yourself.
I guess like if you can sort of like hit me to a bunch of stuff in a genre that I usually enjoy but I haven't heard of before, or even stuff that I'm not that familiar with, like that impresses me more than just being like, oh yeah, I love this album that you enjoy too. It's like, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
Aren't you gonna ask me most likely to impress me?
Oh yeah. What's most likely to impress us?
Ludwig von Beethoven.
Wow. Jesus Christ.
Me and LeBron, we both listen to Beethoven in between the hits.
Wow. Which symphony are you throwing on?
The 13th.
Wow. Whoa. That was a strong one.
Concerto.
Gee whiz.
That one.
Little Ludwig.
You know,
Some light listening.
The one with the strings.
Golly. All right.
I'm so good at this.
Anthony,
Everybody thinks I like music now.
what was your first album as a kid? What was the first thing you were spinning that really made you find a love of music?
I had like I remember for at least a couple Christmases, I was kind of begging for a boombox because like in '90s it was just boombox culture.
Yeah.
And I eventually got like a little Sony radio that I could just listen to the radio on, or just like
You didn't get the radio Raheem like
it wasn't that big. No, it was.
Wait, how
little.
old are you, Anthony?
I'm 37.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. I was gonna say because like I didn't have the boombox generation, but we were in the Walkman and then Discman generation.
Yeah, we were.
Right.
With like the G,
Which I remember, but it was later.
Yeah.
But yeah, it wasn't a crazy cool over the shoulder. It wasn't a giant one. It was like a smaller one, and I could play tapes off of it and also record songs off the radio too. And some of the earliest like first cassettes that I had were like Rage Against the Machine, Evil Empire.
Nice.
That Bush album with Machine Head on it. I had TLC's Crazy Sexy Cool, Boys to Men, Red Hot Chili Peppers 1 Hot Minute, Green Day Dookie, Offspring Smash, and any stuff that I could record off the radio from like Biggie, Dr. Dre, Tupac, Nirvana.
So you started as a radio kid.
Yeah, radio and MTV.
Dang.
Like I was watching like Liquid Television and
You can't even
Butthead.
tell kids now the impact that MTV had on music consumption.
Yeah, because
when
you
we
could
were
actually
kids.
see music on it.
Yeah, it was insane.
Also, 9 Inch Nails.
You never got into Total Request Live either, did you?
Well, I was in
Yeah,
Turkey
I got
at the
into
time,
that too.
so
Total Request
I
Live
was in
was-
Turkey at the time, so I never experienced that. But like MTV was formative for me because I jerked off to like a lot of the music videos. So like Christina Aguilera, Dirty.
Yeah.
Britney Spears,
I
Toxic.
mean, everybody jerked off to Dirt.
You know what I mean? Tattoo. All the things she said.
Oh, that thing
I
you
remember
Oh, my God.
I remember every week Carson Daly would like make the biggest deal about like salivating over the pool scene and Pretty Fly for a White Guy. And I remember when they sort of like decommissioned the video. It was like the last week. He's like, "We're saying bye to the pool scene. No more pool scene and Pretty Fly for a White Guy."
I recently went to a birthday party while they were playing like old Limp Bizkit hits on the TV with the music videos, and one of them was like him in a yellow Lambo in the LA canals, like the LA River.
I'll say it here and I'll say it loud. Limp Bizkit holds up.
Oh,
Limp
Limp Bizkit
was
I agree.
sick.
I
agree.
disagree.
Limp
Wow.
Bizkit was so good.
And I
fucked up.
had those CDs. I
You
actually
could be wrong. It's fine.
I was on.
Yeah.
I was on stream. No, I was of your opinion. I was on stream. I can't remember how many weeks ago. I was like, it wasn't even just Limp Bizkit. I was like, guys, when I was a kid, $3 bill, y'all, was the hardest fucking shit.
Yeah.
And I said, and I'm gonna play some of it. You're gonna hear it. And I put on like Counterfeit, and I put it on. I was like, God, playing is so fucking bad. The bass was off and the drums were off, and it's like the band wasn't together, and the mix sounded like shit. And I was like, this doesn't sound fucking good.
Do you think
it's like watching Dragon Ball? Like it's like,
do you like new metal?
I grew up during that era, so
I
did
still look
enjoy
at that Woodstock Corn performance of like Blind, like when they first came out, and that's like
now
all time.
There is like some earlier stuff from that era that does hold up, like System of a Down's first record. Like the playing on that record, is tight.
Yes,
playing on that record is
extra dirty for me as a Turkish man listening to that those Armenian boys out there in Turkey at the time, because like every time you listen to it, people will be like, "What are you listening to?"
One of the sickest concerts I went to, I can't even believe this happened. One of the sickest lineups I went to for a show as a kid was like this band that's pretty like, they're washed up now, but they were like pretty hard hitting at the time. Their name is American Head Charge. They were opening, but then after them, I think it was lineup. After them was System of a Down. Then after them was Rammstein. Rammstein played.
Incredible.
And then the headliner was Slipknot.
That's awesome.
That was back to back to back.
Slipknot was headlining over Rammstein?
Yeah. Slipknot was huge.
I mean, I listened to a lot of Slipknot too. I'm just saying that like
no, they were
wild.
headlining it, and they had the biggest stage show because that was at the time where they had that was the first tour, I think, where they started implementing the stage feature where Joey would be on his drum kit, and then it would elevate up as he was doing a solo, and then it would do a 90-degree turn up. So he would be like literally like vertical while it was spinning. So he'd be doing this super long drum solo with his drum kit flipped up and spinning in a circle and just and then it would eventually come back down.
Ohio, right?
Iowa.
Fuck, I always fuck those two up.
I can't remember.
The only thing that's ever come out of Iowa that's not corn. It
must have been around the time that album came out.
Yeah.
This is like Nostalgia Power Hour now.
Toxicity was out too. System of a Down was playing Toxicity stuff.
Nostalgia Power Hour right now, but like, it's almost embarrassing to look back at, but like when Triple X came out, the movie.
No,
not that. No,
I'm thinking like wrestling.
Degeneration.
No. Triple X, the movie with Vin Diesel.
Yeah.
When Vin Diesel was hard.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is such a weird thing to look back at. And Rammstein had scored it. I remember
fire.
I remember watching those music videos and going like, oh, this is so sick. I love Rammstein. Like when I was growing up,
they're still touring heavy.
And,
they had an album last year. I reviewed it.
Oh, was it good?
Yeah, it was decent.
Okay.
Their stage show I don't think they do this anymore. Their stage show used to be have weirdly crazy sexual parts too. Like
that's just German, I think.
Well, do you know what they used to do on stage during the song "Book Dich," which is "Bend Down"? It's the song all about like anal sex.
Tell me.
No, I think the keyboard. I think it was a keyboard player. The keyboard player would whip out this prosthetic dick and wear it, and during the entire song, it would just spray out this long stream of water, like the entire thing. And which, of course, like I can't remember the lead singer's
That is
name,
so fucking German.
There was always a point at which he would like bend over in front of it, and they'd sort of like mimic like anal sex like on the stage and everything. It was crazy.
They also were. I remember. They also were in like a little bit of trouble. I think maybe because they would like. They wanted to do this whole like reappropriation of like fascist imagery, even though they were anti-fascist, like they were expressly and openly anti-fascist, but they would like, they said like, they were going to look kind of Nazi.
Right.
Which I feel like you can't really do as Germans. You're not really allowed.
To Americans, it looks weird. Like even if like
when you're German,
right.
You can't be goose stepping, dog. That's it's kind of weird. Overall, it's great though. They have like some anti-capitalist messaging in their music. Like it was great. Do you still have more superlatives, or can I move on to personal?
No, that was just a fun game.
No. It was brilliant. No, don't misunderstand me. I thought it was awesome. I want to move on to some personal background stuff real quick. So, we're gonna talk about your background in a bit, but before that, you're from Connecticut.
I am.
And if that sounds accusatory, my tone, it's deliberate. That is a pejorative. I think it's like, I'm using that as a negative for those of you who don't understand. He's never had cold brew before. This is the first time he's had cold brew.
What?
Yeah.
I only started drinking coffee recently.
I was like, first of all, what do you like? Do you like it?
You're a very type A person. You're very in control.
Yeah, I think God, what the fuck? I recently did one of those personality tests recently. I think it was like ENTJ or something. It was a type A.
Those things are bullshit.
Fuck you, they're not.
Okay. Well, don't worry about that. But hey, do you like the cold brew?
Yeah,
what's your review? What is it like a light 7?
I'm not totally seeing the hype, honestly, but I mean it's fine.
Fuck. I thought you were gonna be like, that's a banger.
I don't really. Okay, it's like I guess he was sort of like kind of like I guess a bit of a something I should have come to realize when I was much younger, but I never really did much coffee or tea or whatever because I didn't get it, because as my friends were all drinking it, me being an ADHD person, always being at a point of like dopamine deprivation, whenever I drink it, I wouldn't feel off of it, and I still don't. It just really kind of calms me down for the most part.
I'm one of the most ADHD people you'll meet. Yeah. I was one of the first 30 kids on Adderall.
Well, it's like my dad was.
They put him on that good shit.
That's right.
My dad was the same way, but he doesn't know he's ADHD. So it's like in order to get any kind of jolt off of coffee, he needs like 3, 4, whatever.
You ever do psychedelics? No.
Never.
I have a lot of substance abuse issues in my family, so I just haven't done any.
Okay, moving away from Connecticut real quick to not substance abuse in general, but we're on our way to work out. And I'm like, Anthony, you got some fucking big ass legs, man. You got some cannons down there. Everybody
hams.
talks about it. You got you got hams down there.
American cheeseburger.
What's going on? We're gonna lift. Like, what's your? I was like trying to gauge like what his level of expertise is in lifting, because I don't want to like drop him into this like weird scenario. He goes, my dad's a power lifter.
Really?
Yeah.
Professionally?
He was a coach.
Yeah.
He would just do it professionally. Coach people.
So you power lift?
I did when I was at his gym.
Under that
his
pink
lifts are
sweatshirt,
great, like
Conan
stable.
the Barbarian.
Yeah, under the pink sweatshirt.
Yeah, he's fucking brawling.
Hidden
dude.
under that pink.
He was putting
sweatshirt.
up the same amount of weight that I was putting up, and he's like shorter than me and much
beast mode.
Yeah, it's like I got 30 pounds.
Is lifting a big part of your routine?
I would say it used to be. I like to go to the rock climbing gym now.
That helps with the ADHD.
It's more. It's like an ADHD playground.
That's
like there's so many colors, and there's so.
Yeah.
It's like really.
What do you listen to when you lift?
Usually, like these days, I'm usually lifting whatever. If I am at the gym and I'm just have headphones on, I'm usually lifting to whatever the hell I got to review next.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That'd throw me off. I need dance music. I need house.
That's what I do. But instead of music, I listen to podcasts and like news reports.
No, that's disgusting.
And people find that to be disturbing.
Disgusting.
Well, he was like, "Hey, what are you gonna put on some music? You do the aux, whatever." And I said, "Okay." So I'm gonna put on like some hard shit. I decided to put on some like CT metalcore. I told him to play Hatebreed, I Will Be Heard.
Okay.
It was pretty good.
And then after that, I played Earth Crisis, Firestorm.
Okay, so you really threw him in the shit.
It
You
felt
liked that.
I mean, it's good for, dude. I was telling him this, like it was not for me. It wasn't even like registering as music.
Yeah,
it's so loud and so like,
it's just
what's the word? Rambunctious. So much going on.
As Anthony Fantano, the world's busiest music nerd, does that happen a lot? I feel like that's kind of like when you're a porn star and people are like, "Let me see your dick." When all you do is music,
right? People are like,
"Hey,
you about music.
take the aux."
Right, exactly.
Put something on.
Right.
Do you hate that?
Is there a lot of stress there?
No, it's fine.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Do you frequently blow minds?
Like with like, hey, here's this thing that I listen to. Not really, Like,
No, people hate it.
I mean, it's like, I feel like is like if you're talking about like loud and heavy music, like it's not Hatebreed isn't exactly like a deep cut.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like I was just thinking about like what's the most basic bitch loud riffy thing that I could think of to listen to right now.
I was trying to play funk, like TikTok sounds, basically. You know what it is. You know, it's just like every viral song now on TikTok has like the element into it. Like I don't know how to describe it.
How do you feel about the mathematical element of kind of music and creating hits now, where TikTok has basically taken what makes a hit song, boiled it down to an algorithm, and been able to package it as creating earworms that are inevitable, like the snap of Thanos' fingers?
I think it's fine. I mean, honestly, I don't really.
I don't even think that's
what a big opinion from.
No, I don't think that's like limited to TikTok. I think like top 40 hits are designed historically in a way that like appeals to the largest, broadest audience possible.
Yeah, that's why it's fine.
I
don't really see it as that different.
Yeah.
I don't see it as that different. I think it's the mechanical element of it, the computer element of it that saddens me a little bit. At least when it was some music doctor who had taken the time to figure out what made a hit song and moved around the pieces, like that made sense to me, and I could just look from the outside and be like, that music sucks, but people like it.
What do you mean? Who's the music doctor? In what sense?
Well, there's producers that basically are on like
Rick Rubin, who apparently
like a Benny Blanco, like someone who's made like 100 hit
I mean, those
songs.
people still exist.
I am aware, but for that, a lot of times I can look at it from the outside and kind of be like, that sucks. That's radio music. I don't like that. But now it just feels like these songs are incepted, almost like they're mathematically perfect to get inside my ear and just stay there.
I think that's cool, honestly. Like I feel like when it comes to making hit songs, like the point is to come up with something catchy. I think it's a challenge to come up with something catchy. I think there's an artistry to that, and which I deeply respect. I feel like through the eras of music that I've existed during, as far as, radio music and kind of, radio being the testing ground for a lot of stuff during the 2000s, like it was so fucking soulless and homogenized and shitty. And while there are like a lot of, cool hits and moments that you could look back on as far as like pop and mainstream stuff, with boy bands and pop divas and so on and so forth, like, it's cool to look back on stuff like Christina and Britney and Backstreet Boys and NSYNC. But the thing is, like, everybody forgets, like, there were so many fucking B and C level artists that were also being broadcast with as much regularity that sounded exactly the fucking same, and you were just getting exposed to the same shit over and over and over and over and over, and it sucked.
98 Degrees.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
LFO, whatever. But, and then after that, as soon as we kind of transitioned into the streaming era, it seemed like things were getting almost worse in a way, because then it was the playlist that reigned supreme, and it was almost like a challenge to come up with the blandest, most wallpaper thing that you could so that it fits in a playlist that people just kind of like listen to endlessly without breaking away from it or changing it or whatever. And I think that led to a lot of bland, just kind of very uniform shit that was just like very agreeable and was frankly quite boring. I think the TikTok algorithms demanding that artists like come up with something as snappy and as quickly as possible has sort of like changed the game and made people think about like, okay, I actually need to think about a hook now, instead of thinking about how can I make a song that is so one-dimensional, it sounds exactly the fucking same from front to back and also sounds exactly the same as whatever song is playing before it and playing after it. That to me is shit. I fucking hate that. It just leads to such just I don't know, maybe as an ADHD person, it just makes for just a very soul-sucking experience. The downsides to the TikTok shit, and it's not even a TikTok thing, it's just kind of a streaming thing in general, because artists get paid off how many times you play a song now. And sometimes if you shorten a song down, you guarantee more plays out of it, because people are going to play a 1 minute and 52 second song more times than they're going to play a 3 minute and 30 second song. So, the shitty thing now is that there are a lot of artists that are kind of like killing song structure. I don't mind a catchy moment. Catchy moments are cool, but song structure is kind of going out the window, because financially a lot of people are incentivized to just like completely break their songs down to the most bare of elements,
throw out the rest.
Exactly, and just throw out the rest. So it's like you have that catchy moment, but you don't get an intro, and you get a chorus, a verse, another chorus, and that's it. You don't get another verse, you don't get a bridge, you don't get an outro. It's just basically like in and out as fast as possible, and that's kind of what sucks. But like I said, that's more of a streaming thing than a TikTok thing. Even if TikTok wasn't around, we would still have that problem. Yeah. What's kind of being eliminated is more cool long form shit. Like these days, you don't have a band like Godspeed You Black Emperor, for example.
Oh yeah,
which
just
like
spoken word,
like
random,
really cool, long, epic, 30-minute long tracks.
The car was burning.
Right, exactly. Like on an album that lasts 90 minutes overall. Because the thing is, if you're going to make money off of that, you have to sell records, and people are not selling records like they used to. And even Godspeed, when they do come out with newer albums, like they still kind of format their music in the same way, but like they'll do like such and such title part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4, so that they're breaking it down in like 5-minute chunks, so that they're actually getting that streaming revenue.
Speaking of really long form albums that blew my mind recently, just quickly, and then I think we're gonna move off music.
No. I have 2 music questions.
Okay, quickly before we move off, do you listen to any Floating Points?
Yeah. No,
Did you listen to their album with Pharaoh?
Yeah. That was one of my favorite albums of the year.
Dude, I listened to that.
R.I.P. Pharaoh.
Oh, yeah. When I hike, that's like my
cool.
that sends me. And
Yeah.
and like it's basically one song.
Yeah. Just different kind of instrumental movements and palettes, kind of on a lot of the same themes.
That was one of your favorite albums of the year?
Yeah, it was in my top 10.
Actually,
that does impress me. I'm impressed that he's into that.
Okay, what's one era of music that you that we all just like collectively listened to at the time, but looking back at it, you're like, what the fuck was that?
Modern country.
I was gonna say Mumford and Sons. So I guess it's in the same
When
vein,
you say we all listen to, do you mean in terms of like it's hip? Or
yeah, it was considered hip, but like now you look back at it and you're like, why did every song sound like this? It was so strange.
Okay.
Like,
I mean, maybe it's just because it was a part of my youth, but again, just like a lot of rap metal stuff, just like a lot of rap and new metal stuff. Like
rap and new metal, yeah.
There is some stuff out of that era that I like. I can still go back and listen to Iowa, for example, and that album still hits hard as fuck. But generally speaking, like there was a lot of trash in that genre.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair. What about you? Do you have one? I mean, you said.
I think modern country it's real bad. Some of it's good.
It is, but it's like the appeal is really specific though.
Yeah.
Like it's not as widely appealing as like maybe a band like Korn was at one point.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, so broad appeal. I don't know, man. I'd have to think about
Okay,
it.
and even weirder, cringier one, if we're going even further back, like into the 90s, like, you know, during a time when the industry was like the industry and like whatever was hot or popular or relevant was like, you know, basically like, you know, radio and MTV and so on and so forth were the testing grounds, and it was just handed to us, and like it was played more depending on whatever reaction was given to it. Like I would say probably like the swing revival of the 90s.
Oh my
like
God.
Cherry Poppin' Daddy, Zoot Suit Riot,
Yeah.
like all that shit was so fucking awful and so fucking cringe. And like
Why did that happen?
Again, it's just, you know, throwing stuff out there randomly and just seeing what takes.
You know what's interesting? I'm a big film nerd. That revival bled over into film. Like you had a bunch of movies that kind of like The Mask, Swingers.
Yeah.
Like they had these weird
rockabilly 90s rockabilly content.
Yeah, you had these like weird moments where it was like Zoot Suit, like brass.
Yeah, a lot of brass.
yeah. And it was just like, how did this happen?
Now, granted, there were some artists that came out of it that were kind of cool, like Squirrel Nut Zippers. Who Andrew Bird was a part of that band before he transitioned into doing more solo stuff.
The Mighty Mighty Boss Tones?
That's ska. Were you talking about a totally different fucking thing? No,
they kind of dress like that though.
I mean, but
they were all in like the black suits and they had the
but as far as like musical styles, as far as musical styles go.
But yeah, Mighty Boss Tones, fuck.
They don't.
Yes, they do.
That's insane. That's an insane statement. I don't even listen to music, and I'm like, that's so bad. What the fuck? Ska music is. I can't understand. I don't know.
Ska music's good.
You're so white.
Real Big Fish.
We should play him some Jamaican ska.
I feel like. Okay.
They're good.
Okay.
But we got to listen to some Trojan Records
stuff.
stuff.
My follow-up question that's like kind of related to it is, what do you think about EDM's mainstreamification in like the 2000, like late 2000 era that and its impact on music in general? Do you think it's an overall good thing or a bad thing? Like Avicii levels.
Okay.
Would you say that was like genre defining? Like, cause I came to America in 2009.
Okay.
I grew up in Turkey, so I listened like Benny Benassi, you know what I mean? Like a lot of
I'll actually take this one.
Okay, but hold on, let me just explain what my reasoning is, right? Like I listened to a lot of electronic music growing up in Turkey. That's what it played on the radio, right? Mm-hmm. Like in America, I feel like it was more rap, hip hop, R&B.
Right.
And then EDM kind of exploded. Swedish House Mafia.
Yeah.
I was at the Winter Music Conference and went to Ultra in 2009.
Deadmau5.
Yeah. Like people started listening to trance music, you know what I mean? Like that was relatively a new phenomena in like mainstream American consumption.
Right.
And I think the overarching impact of that was just like it became a mainstay of like all pop music. You think that was an overall good thing or a bad thing here?
I think I can tackle that one. I think a big part of that is the ease with which those shows are produced and pumped out. The setup of getting a live band or a live performer is very different than getting a mainstream DJ to sit behind his decks and press play. And there are some great DJs that'll spin great sets and are
A-Track.
because I love EDM. I love house music, but the process of throwing a party around a DJ is a lot less strenuous than like what they used to have to do at like the Roxy and shit to get an artist up, get them up, bring their roadies, break them down, all that shit. Basically, a DJ can go in with a USB stick and throw a party. Also, has a lot to do with the party culture, right? Taking drugs and getting fucking absolutely annihilated is very conducive to house music. There's a very fun, like consistent bop, 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 click, almost like Giorgio Moroder. I knew I needed a click on the track. And I think like the first time that young people go to an EDM show, it's much more about the community element of it. And then they have these like feelings of nostalgia surrounding those songs.
Is that right?
So Billy Ray Brains knows.
Yeah. Is that,
dude, every
is that
time
track?
I'll hear Sander Van Dorn and I'm just transported back to like when I was 18 years old, off my head on acid. Like, dude, love is darkness, man. Fucking, I'm in Pacha, New York right now. This is amazing.
Pacha?
Pacha
Oh,
fucking
no.
slapper. Dude, that train horn. Wow, wow, wow,
Oh,
wow.
yeah,
You ever go to Pacha,
so
New York when it
grimy.
was open?
He doesn't do drugs,
Oh
he
my
said.
God, it was so they had this train horn, right? It was actual horn off a fucking train. It did not sound good. It was terrible. And what happened was at like the height of your debauchery in Pacha, New York, there was like a pit. And like guys like Sonny Ray James and Ryan Marciano would like just have everybody frothing. And then they would grab this train horn and just go, wow, wow, wow. And everyone would be like, yes.
So sweaty, so gross.
So sweaty, but everyone was getting laid.
So gross. You don't do drugs, so what? Do you even listen to EDM?
Yeah, I don't think you need to. I mean, I guess like, you know, let's also talk about the music too, because obviously like the culture around it is significant and important, like, you know, sort of the party element. But like, if people weren't vibing with the way that it sounded, like they wouldn't be going out to these shows. Like, I mean, you know, as far as like mainstream EDM, because there's a lot of different types of electronic music. If we're talking strictly about like the mainstream stuff, like I think never has there been a popular music movement that is so formulaic, but almost in an ingenious way. Because the thing is like, it's literally engineered to build up this really intense amount of tension in a very short amount of time, and then eventually you get that drop, that beat hit, that thing.
You know what's
like
amazing
that really kind of like visceral experience that feels really good in a live setting, feels really good probably when you're high, and even when you're sober. It's like, you know, I personally get the fucking thrill off of like, you know, like a track like Bangarang, for example. Like that song goes hard as fuck. And, you know, of course, like you're going to have a mainstream response to such like a basic thing, because I think everybody kind of gets that on like a really primordial level. You know, it's like, and that's what I think. I think the appeal of that kind of stuff can be very sort of like almost like caveman-like in a way. You know, it's like you're responding in such like, it's such a physical experience.
Okay, favorite EDM artists and least favorite EDM artists.
One thing I want to add, a lot of modern contemporary EDM, like, is doing this thing that Pitbull did years ago, where they're taking like one bar, one sample from a song that they know is like popular, and then building it out and adding just a bigger drop, adding more build up to it.
Right.
And that has become like enormously popular.
Okay, you don't have to call out Jack Harlow's entire album like this.
No. Like there are a lot of artists in the EDC space that have gotten like enormously good at this, and a lot of
I think it's fucked up to do that.
Well, you know what's funny is Jack Harlow is you can listen to his music and go, oh, that is from like Fergie. That is from a lot of these EDC artists. Like you wouldn't know unless you really dumpster dive or go to some of like these older tracks and find these samples that they were even doing it.
I don't have an issue with sampling, but if you're just like ripping literally like a top 40 song from the 90s and just like rapping over it, the fuck are you doing? It's just like, that's just the song.
I mean, Pitbull made an entire career.
I know.
Of saying
I don't like
Dale
Pitbull though.
over,
That's like a great example.
90s. The Nightcrawlers.
Well, I mean, you know, let's also talk about sort of the fact that like, you know, there's such like huge variations between sort of like the European and the American strains of electronic music that sort of like influence modern EDM, because whether you're talking about like primarily black artists making, some like the, earliest strains of house and techno in Chicago
Detroit.
or on like, the East Coast or in the Midwest. You have that, but then simultaneously, you have like super early forms of electronic music like Kraftwerk, coming out of, Europe.
Autobahn.
And eventually sort of like, in America, you had much more emphasis on sort of like melody and soul and groove, and there's a lot of European stuff, especially in the hardcore scene, where you have like gabber and like these insane BPM levels that are like
gabber.
super fucking harsh and just like really aggressive and super fast, and like the people at the raves, like at these Thunderdome raves, would just be like, get.
You ever seen videos from Sensation Black?
I've seen, I don't, probably not specifically from that, but I've seen videos of like the raves and stuff. And
Okay,
like,
least favorite EDM artist and your favorite EDM artist, if there is like anything that you could.
I don't know if I have a least favorite. I mean, probably Daft Punk is my favorite of all time. Overall.
Okay, that's every. Okay,
but
that's what I was gonna say.
But the thing is, like that's such a basic bitch take. But the thing is, like, I'm an albums guy. I'm like a concept guy. I'm like a big kind of macro picture kind of guy. And as far as like that, nobody's kind of really serving on that level in the same way that
Discovery
Daft Punk has.
is top 10 albums of all time.
Yeah. But that's because like a lot of the electronic music scene, there's nothing inherently wrong with this. Like a lot of the scene thrives off of like singles. Thrives off of hits. It's not exactly the type of genre experience that like a lot of listeners or fans are sitting down like, I'm going to listen to an album now. You know what I mean? The thing that Daft Punk did is they sort of like made almost like the Pink Floyd The Wall type of format work in an electronic context, and there's not a lot of electronic artists willing to do that because it's a big risk. And the thing is, a lot of them sort of experience or sort of associate the genre with more of a, party hit, banger, visceral, let's just make a moment, make a whatever, create a reaction type of response, as opposed to, let's try to make the next Abbey Road, And I think maybe there could be more room to do that, but again, it could be a big risk. It's not necessarily profitable. Sometimes, you might end up sort of suffering because your record doesn't hit as hard as the next Skrillex single if you decide to maybe pull back a little bit and you make something like the next Porter Robinson record and it's like really flowery and pillowy and sweet, and while it can be played at sort of like in those more festival contexts, it's not going to make the same it's not going to create the same reaction as like an Avicii would.
I asked this question specifically because I have a least favorite, and it's bothered me for so many years.
Who's your least favorite?
Afrojack.
Okay.
I think.
Oh no, that's just because, dude.
I
can read your mind.
Afrojack.
That is literally because you went to Rutgers, and Rutgers was like the Afrojack bastion of the world.
I've always despised Afrojack's music. I don't know why. It didn't sound like music to me, and I don't know why everybody loved it. That unique sound that he played all the time is so fucking annoying to me.
All the girls
and
in the line.
I place Afrojack as the Ed Hardy of electronic dance music, because I think like people, like the worst people, were rocking it and repping it for a time.
Dude, this is
it just fucking sucked, and it still sucks. And there is no redeeming quality. Go ahead, destroy my take.
No, I can tell you what this is. This is like people who hate Bruce Springsteen that like go to the Stone Pony all the time, and they're like, I fucking hate Bruce Springsteen. I hate his fans. It's because you were enveloped in it. Literally,
right. It's like with Tool fans. You hate Tool because Tool fans are the most annoying fans on the planet.
I love Tool.
Yeah, no, so do I.
But no, I'm just saying I'm annoying. Rutgers, you don't understand. Afrojack and Rutgers in that space,
he made music mathematically created for that.
Yes.
For New Jersey meatheads.
Guidos loved Afrojack.
I fucking hated it. Go ahead. Explain. Tell me I'm wrong.
I mean, it sounds like you were just overexposed to something.
No, you're just being guided by what he's saying. Hit me on the meat of the argument.
You actually have to like give me some meat. Like, what is it specifically about the music that you think makes it worse or inferior to other EDM?
I can't even say it's formulaic because like it's all formulaic. But like there was nothing unique, and it just did not sound good. Like the I don't even know how to explain that. Like the horn.
You just feel like there were bad sounds in it, just annoying sounds.
I just like that sound triggers the fuck out of me still. And even before Rutgers, it
was like your Vietnam.
Yeah, pretty much. I suffered.
You have PTSD from
You
it.
like Afrojack. I mean,
bro, I had fun.
Oh, okay.
And so when I would go to Pacha,
I had fun too.
I'm just kidding.
I used to listen to music. Like I was a music. I would go to like Ear Milk and like Hype M and all these things to like find the next thing.
I understand
the blog era.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
I understand why Afrojack could be bruxum. He had like a lot of like very like cacophony type builds is what I would say, where they were just like, but I mean, at the time, I don't think he was any better or worse than a lot of people than what people were considering.
I was always also like a progressive house fan, and I never really liked. I was never even into trance music that much. Like I didn't get the appeal of it.
Can I give you my most overrated? God love them, but the Chainsmokers.
Oh, I mean that's okay.
Yeah.
Everybody's acting like I said.
No, that's the most normal take.
Yeah.
Pretty normal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's like the most basic.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you asked me for a least favorite, I would say as well. Yeah, but I mean, their shit is so.
I mean, it's true. It's just I didn't even consider it because like that's established. You know what I mean? What's your least favorite that like people wouldn't immediately dunk on?
Sure.
Give me that.
Least favorite that people wouldn't immediately dunk on.
Come on, just say Avicii.
No, I really like it. Well, here's the problem with Avicii. Avicii made one song. Avicii made one song and re-released it 100 times.
How dare you?
Right?
That's how a lot of artists operate when they have
but
a mainstream
Avicii
hit.
was to a different level, man.
Because Levels
was Fuck School, was ID, like he ran that track back like 20 times.
Okay.
And to be fair,
but it was literally
Penguin, which became oh my God, help me. Was basically the same song. And then he did country shit.
That was so bad.
I don't fuck with.
That was actually ties into the Mumford and Sons shit.
Yeah.
Which is like, what the fuck? How did that happen?
Yeah.
Like, how do we let that happen? And we went, yeah, that's great.
Bromance was ID, was Fuck School, that was all the same song. And he released it like 5 times and it was like a number.
But to be fair, like, I think Levels has to be like a record holder for like longest staying power.
I think it's been
in radio.
I think it's been re-released to like wild success more than any other song.
I've never I mean,
because there was not James Brown, Chris Brown version. There was ID. There was Fuck School. There was Levels, and there was Bromance, and those are all the same song.
Okay.
And then he released it again backwards. Do you guys remember when that was a thing? The same song, but just played backwards. That's crazy.
Well, we're gonna move on to like actually listening to music, but because this is on YouTube, we don't want to get demonetized. Right. We don't want to get copy strikes, so we're gonna be pushing that to the paywall, where Anthony Fantano teaches me to love the game, the music, all of that stuff. Maybe I will rekindle my love affair with music after that. Find out on the paywall stuff. You can get access to that at patreon.com/fear. And Anthony Fantano, thank you so much for coming. Where can people find you? What do you want to plug?
Yes.
YouTube.com/The Needle Drop, Twitch The Needle Drop, TikTok The Needle Talk, A Fantano on Instagram, The Needle Drop on Twitter, Fantano on YouTube as well. And we have a shorts channel on YouTube too that's blowing up. So we're all over the place.
And I think he makes some of the finest YouTube content. I watch a lot of his reviews, and I've never...
Dork.
Well, I like to agree with him, and I like more to disagree with him. It's a very fun thing to do. Go check out his stuff, please.
All right. We'll see you next time.
They all look so fucking bored.
Yeah, they're so relaxed. It's crazy.
Yeah. None of them are even breaking a sweat. Nice.
Oh, damn. Little upright bass solo?
That's like nuttier than some bebop jazz shit.
He's going off.
Like, he's playing notes, but then also striking a silent note in between every one of the notes to get that.
I do love that they are like, this guy's unfazed.
Yeah,
they're all of them. I think the accordion player is the most unfazed, despite the fact that, do you know how heavy that fucking accordion is?
Yeah.
Like, that guy probably has back problems.